Iran, one of the least understood countries on the planet.
So here's like the equivalent of an Iranian nightclub.
Yet home to one of the world's most influential culinary traditions.
These are some of the oldest fruit on the planet.
I'm going on a trip from the bottom to the top in a journey of over 2,000 kilometres.
They don't call it the spice road for nothing. That's the best quality saffron I've ever seen.
Discovering the flavours and the techniques of Persian cuisine.
Check him out!
And reinventing them in my kitchen. I love the flavours of the Middle East, and even better, taking that inspiration and creating something new in my own restaurant. But to really understand the food, you need to go to the source. And so, I'm off on a trip to search out age-old recipes and traditions of these ancient cultures. And then the fun part? Bringing it to life in my own kitchen. Everywhere I've been in the Middle East, I've seen the influence of Silk Road traders. Food, language and culture have all been shaped by these pioneering merchants, and this is where they came from. All that water behind me is the Persian Gulf, and out there somewhere you're talking Oman and the Emirates, but right now I'm standing in Iran, one of the least understood countries on this earth, and it's home not to just one of the oldest cuisines, but one of the most influential cuisines in the world. And I can't wait to get out north to see what's happening, but right now I want to check out what the locals are eating. Iran is a huge country, home to over 70 million people. There's no way I can possibly see it all. So my plan is to start in the Persian Gulf in the south and make my way up to the Caspian Sea in the north. To get an idea of the produce on offer, I've made it to one of the markets on Qeshm Island. This whole area has long been a hub for trade because of its strategic position in the Strait of Hormuz.
English?
You bought from
Australia.
Australia? This one a cup. Good.
Yeah, it's good.
Here, traditional Gulf culture prevails, but with Arabic, North African and Indian influences. To get a feel for this unique culture, I've been invited to the house of local fisherman Afshin Hengami for a traditional Gulf meal.
Hey, salam. Are we going out?
So we're off to a small island called Qeshm Island. We're going to go see Hashim's family. Here on this island they make this fermented fish paste that's sort of thickened with dirt. I'm all for earthy flavours, I really love them, but eating dirt, I haven't done that since I was about 4. So I'm hoping it doesn't just taste like mud. Qeshm Island is an island village and it's pretty small, measuring just 36 kilometres across. It's what's known as a salt dome island, an island that began its life as evaporated salt, but over the course of millions of years, sedimentary rock has formed on top. To this day, the island is a salty, mineral-rich habitat that 2,500 people call home.
Salam.
Salam. Salam. So what are we making?
Samaneh and Sajadeh are Afshin's sisters, and today they show me how to make a traditional Gulf dish, gali mahi.
What's in this, in the paste?
سیر و پیاز سبزی سبزی مایشوی جعفری سیر و پیاز قاطی میکنن همش میزنن بعد میریزن داخل اون.
The dish begins with a base of onions, coriander and tomatoes, but the spices here are a little bit different to the Arabic spices. Flavours like green pepper, turmeric and fenugreek.
So what's this?
Tamarind.
Oh, tamarind.
Tamarind.
So they've just dissolved the tamarind in a little bit of water. And I'd say that would add like a sour note. It smells awesome. Like it smells really spicy. See, this is so much different from the food that we saw in Lebanon. You know, this is real Gulf food. You can taste a little bit of that sort of North African spice, almost like that Indian Pakistani type curry. And with the tamarind adding some sour, really gorgeous spice. This is awesome food.
With the fish cooking, it's time to make the bread, and Samaneh is the expert.
What's in the dough?
آرد نمک آب
من اندازه دیگه آبم خمیرم بخواد چیز بشه این مدلی بشه.
Looks easy spreading it out like that, but it's not easy. It's all paper thin. Curious to see how she lifts it without breaking it.
And now the ingredient I'm most curious about, this red dirt paste.
I'd say the thing that hits my nose straight away, it'd be like a really strong, like anchovy type smell, but it's bright red, like, you know, you're saying it's from the dirt.
Surag is unique to this area and is made by mixing local sardines with the red mineral-rich soil of these salt dome islands.
The red sarag looks beautiful. I'm going to give it a go to make the bread. I've got a flat grill like that in the kitchen, and I reckon I can get it hot enough to make the bread. So we'll see. We'll try my luck. So laugh. She's laughing at me. She's Hana. That's hot. She makes it look easy. It's not bloody easy. I'm burning the shit out of my hand. I've stuffed it up. It's no good. Take some more. Can I say that word? I can't do this. This is too hot. I'll leave it to you. I think I needed more in my hand to start with, and I've tried to put too much pressure on the plate. She looks like she's got really delicate, lovely fingers, such a cute girl, but her, you know, the hands are like asbestos. This food's got me excited about Iranian food. It smells beautiful, it's interesting, it's fun. I just have to get better at it.
Fresh Gulf prawns and fish are also a part of this feast. Both are rolled in a mixture of flour, pepper and turmeric before being cooked.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Really subtle spices. Similar to like what you'd find in a ras al hanout, so, you know, ginger, cardamom, turmeric, really sort of fragrant spices, but not hot at all. And in the fish stew, where I thought it would be like pretty intense and hot, it's just gorgeous. You know, the tamarind in there is really subtle, and it helps cut all the sweetness from the tomato. That's an awesome dish. And that's one I'm going to be stealing. I haven't eaten mud since I was a kid, so here we go. It tastes like a whole tin of anchovies has been pureed up and put into that one little drop. It's like it's full on. It's really intense. It's a great flavour though.
I may have trouble selling dirt to my customers, but this meal has given me some fantastic ideas. Iran is one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. As I head north, the Persian Gulf gives way to endless desert. Date palms turn to mountains and the world feels ancient. I'm heading to Iran's fourth largest city, Shiraz. But first, there's one place that's impossible to ignore: Persepolis.
This is Persepolis. It was the city of Persians. You know that Achaemenid Empire was the first great empire in the history, ancient world.
I've met up with Shirazi local Afi, a passionate advocate for all things Persian, who teaches traditional Iranian cooking, a cuisine that dates back thousands of years.
Darius I constructed this Persepolis, and if you take a look, it is his private palace, and this bas-relief in the staircases shows us that focus on the culture and food.
Persepolis was built as the ceremonial capital of the First Persian Empire. Imperial subjects and conquered nations would bring gifts of food and livestock to honour the emperor.
So there was already a strong food culture 2,500 years ago?
Yes, of course, and it continues. You know that to the modern Iranian cooking, we have all recipes has been taken from the great dynasty.
A lot of countries claim that they've got the oldest cuisine, but 2,500 years ago, the proof's in the stone.
At the height of its power, the empire stretched across 3 continents and was home to 50 million subjects, over 40% of the world's population at the time. These days, Persepolis lies 70 k's away from the city of Shiraz, known throughout the region as the city of poets, literature and flowers, basically all the beautiful stuff. Shiraz was once famed for its wine, but unlike the modern Australian wine that shares the same name, it was a white variety. However, alcohol is now illegal in Iran, and the only grapes grown around here are sold fresh or dried into raisins. But Shiraz has more than one claim to fame.
Finally, we reached to the tomb of Hafiz, the famous poet of Shiraz, not only Shiraz, but I have to say that for Iran and beyond Iran.
Hafiz was a 14th century poet who was kind of like Shakespeare and Confucius combined. A brilliant writer, poet and philosopher whose highly influential work can be found in just about every Iranian home.
When people come to visit Hafiz, the tomb of Hafiz, they don't forget the book. So they bring it and ask him about a question, a very clear question. And you know that, amazingly, he answers briefly. Can you believe it?
So if you've got a wish or you need to know something, you can come here and open up a page, ask for the answer, and he'll give you the answer.
Yes, of course. Make a wish.
I've got a good,
of course.
I've got a great wish.
Okay. دوش دیدم که ملائک در میخانه زدند گل آدم بسرشتند و به پیمانه زدند. It is one of the best poems. How did you find it?
Oh, it's my lucky day.
Oh.
As for my wish, well, that's a secret. Park life in Shiraz is big, and if it's not poetry readings, it's picnics. So for a taste of all things Shiraz, Afi has invited me to share a picnic with her and her daughters.
So this looks like an awesome spread. What have you got?
A special rice for you called shirin polo. This rice is a little bit more difficult with the other rices because we have to sift it 2 times. For this kind of rice, boil some water and sugar with a little bit saffron.
So there's sugar in there, it's sweet.
Yes. And cypress.
Along with the delicate flavours, presentation is key to Persian cuisine. And to go with the picturesque rice is a beef stew, flavoured with lemon, peas and aromatics like cardamom, cinnamon and turmeric.
So what's that you're putting on top?
It's potatoes, French fries.
Oh, fried potatoes. Beautiful. Everything's very artistic in Iran, isn't it?
Yes. Iranian cuisine is like the Iranian carpet. You know that Iranian carpet takes much time and also full of colors. You have to be patient for making a carpet.
I always say to my guys, you know, you eat with your eyes.
Yeah.
If it looks good, it tastes good, you know?
The food is very different to the food I saw in Lebanon. In many ways, it's more refined. There's a balance of flavour and fragrance that's very sophisticated.
I've always been really intrigued with Iranian food because Persian food is so different from what you find in the Middle East. I wasn't expecting to find food this sort of complex in flavour.
And I really wasn't expecting to be having a gorgeous picnic in a park like this. It seems the Shirazian lifestyle is one of the world's best kept secrets.
Shirazian people are more popular because of the hospitality.
I heard a rumour that they like to lay around and relax and not do much work. Now, I don't know, is that true? That's true.
When I've seen Iran on TV, beauty and art are not the normal headlines, and it's been an absolute eye-opener for me. This delicate cuisine is so fragrant. And before I leave Shiraz, there is one more local specialty I've been dying to try.
There's this crazy Iranian dessert called Faloodeh, which I absolutely love. I got to try it years ago in Australia, but what they tell me here in Shiraz is where they specialise in it. And there's a shop just up the road that's supposed to be kick-ass. And this looks like the place. Hi, can I order all the flavours of the Faloodeh?
Basically, Faloodeh is a dessert consisting of frozen vermicelli noodles with scoops of ice cream on top. It's one of the oldest known desserts in the world, dating back to 400 BC when people would freeze their rice noodles in the mountain snow and then top it off with nuts. These days, there's whole shops dedicated to this tasty treat.
I'm not a huge sweet tooth, but I do like this dessert. And they're saying this is where it's supposed to be the best, so I'll give it a go. I'm not too sure what's on the top. I recognise the bottom. I think it's rose water or something. Oh. It's not rose water, it's sour. These noodles are frozen and they're gone crunchy, so it's all saying it's a crazy dessert. And on top, there's some kind of ice cream. Which reminds me of that stuff that we saw in Lebanon, you know, the busa. So you can see how it sort of pulls. It tastes like saffron. It's really good.
Going over to Hengham Island with Afshin and his sisters, finding this sort of curry stew with tamarind and fish, it was something that really blew my mind.
Thanks.
I'm going to do it with an ingredient that I love, but Afshin's religion would forbid. Pork belly.
Just grab your coriander, you're gonna make a paste. Tear off the roots, straight in.
I'm adding garlic and olive oil and whipping it into a paste. And then, sorry Afshin, it's time for the pork belly.
I've just got some bone-out pork belly, taken the skin off, and all I want to do is just cut that into, manageable sized pieces. The only other thing that was really interesting was this fresh tamarind. Now, you can get this from any sort of supermarket or Asian deli, and all it is a paste made from the tamarind, but when you taste it, it's really, really sour.
The trick with this tamarind paste is to let it steep for about 10 minutes before squeezing out the sour juice. And then there's only one more thing to prep.
Just a little trick with tomatoes is try to buy an organic, really plump tomato and don't put it in the fridge. Just leave it out at room temperature in your pantry. Because once you put it in the fridge, the sugar changes inside and it changes the flavour of the tomato. And you want to keep that summertime freshness in there.
Into the pot, a little bit of oil, and then our coriander paste. On top of that, all those lovely Gulf flavours. Turmeric, cayenne pepper, saffron, and some tomato paste.
Now the tomatoes, these are really big, plump and juicy. And as they cook, they're going to release a heap of moisture. We need that moisture because you can see it's really dry in there. This is a really exciting dish. This was my first introduction to Iranian food, and I was pumped because I love those sort of Persian Gulf, Pakistani flavours that are all in this pot. So we better get cracking on and add our pork. Stir that through, make sure it's all coated. Our tamarind, strain that through so you don't get any of those seeds. This is really sour, this stuff, so I reckon that's probably enough. And that's going to take at least an hour, I'd say, for that pork to be nice and tender so it pulls apart and breaks apart. All right, the next bit, what I'm going to do in my version is I'm going to have some little fish filled with prawns and fried.
I'm starting with a prawn mousse, which is just prawn, salt and lemon rind. I've chosen a red mullet, which my fishmonger has deboned, and I'm spooning the prawn mousse straight in.
So I'm just going to put those in the fridge, let them set, wait for the pork to cook, and finish it up later.
One of the stars of the picnic for me was the shirin polo, that beautiful sweet rice dish. I've never done this before, so let's see what happens.
You have to start with some soaked rice. The reason why? To help it cook quicker and also absorb that sort of saffron flavour and that colour that you want. Now, Afi told me the way she likes to do it, it's the way I'm going to do it because hers was beautiful. Just enough water to cover and add our saffron and turmeric so that that rice absorbs all that flavour. Just going to stir all that turmeric and saffron through into that water so the rice can absorb all that flavour. You want to cook it till it's about 3/4 cooked or until all the water's gone and it's completely evaporated and that rice will be done.
And now, the tricky part.
Just got some potatoes. Gonna just quickly give those a peel. With this dish, I think choosing your pot is the most important thing. A nice, small pot. And if you can find something that's non-stick, kind of saves you from looking like an idiot when you turn it out later, because it won't stick. And it's important to get a really even slice, because with this dish, if they're not all even, when you brown it, some bits will be cooked, some bits won't.
Once the rice is cooked, strain it off.
And the last thing we have to do is pour over this saffron sugar syrup, just so it takes on that sweet saffron flavour. Now the scary bit. You need a hot pan, and give it a good hit of oil. What I'm going to do at the bottom of that is I'm going to fan out these potatoes so it acts as, one, as a beautiful garnish and it's nice and crusty, but two, I think it insulates the pan from the rice and it gives it a bit of space so it doesn't just have that direct heat so that sugar doesn't burn.
Then it's a matter of gently patting down the rice, and I'm thinking maybe 10 minutes should be long enough for it to cook. Well, I hope. By now, my pork belly should be well and truly cooked.
You can see that pork's all broken down and become quite loose in there.
Which just leaves me the fish. I'm lightly dusting it in plain flour and then frying it for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then we're ready to plate up.
That's really beautiful. So we'll just get our fish, mint shoots, our gorgeous little radishes. I'm actually pretty happy with that. That's come up great. And that's my Heckham Island boat smuggler's stew. All right, the moment of truth. So that's been sitting for a little while, and I can see it's changed colour on the outside. My heart's sort of telling me I should have given it maybe 1 or 2 minutes longer, but my head's saying don't be an idiot, because you probably burnt it, and then you're going to look like an idiot when you pull it out. So I've just sort of, with my palette knife, I'm pulling it away from the edges, which is great, because it means it hasn't stuck. And I can see that it's nice and brown, but I still can't see what's on the bottom. But we're about to find out. So, rice, plate. It's going to make me or break me. Hope it doesn't break me. All right. It looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. Nice and crusty, crispy all the way around, and that's exactly what I was trying to achieve. And that's my saffron crispy potato chitin polo.
My final dish on the menu is dessert. I really love that Faloodeh. I mean, who doesn't love frozen noodles? So to start with, the easiest sorbet recipe you'll ever see.
I've got some puree of sour cherries, my sugar, all in. No need to whisk any egg whites first. Egg whites. And give that a whisk for about 4 to 5 minutes. All right. I think we're done. You can see that's sort of like doubled in size. And like when whipping cream, it's sort of like at a ribbon stage. They're just going to pour that into a little canister or bowl or whatever you want to use in the freezer until it's set. So what I've got is just some cooked rice vermicelli noodles. Pour a little bit of my sugar syrup and rose water over the top. Just sort of mix it through.
While that soaks, I'm going to prep my garnishes. Hazelnuts, fresh cherries.
And just to give it that real pop, I'm going to use some of these finger limes. And these are really interesting. Sort of like a little capsule of lime caviar, native to Australia. And when you grab them, you can just squeeze them like that, and all this sort of like lime, pearls, caviar comes out. And when you taste this stuff, it's just little like, oh, it just pops in your mouth. Little balls of lime that just exploded, just like caviar. Really gorgeous. Now, I'm a bit excited about this dish because it's something that's really different, something very Iranian. And we're going to breathe a heap of new life into a dish that's probably 2,500 plus years old. First thing we need to do is get our liquid nitrogen. So we're not going to be shy with it. Give it a good pour.
If you don't have a handy supply of nitrogen or mountain snow, your best bet is your freezer.
And what I'm trying to do is create a real frozen noodles, almost like a nest that's going to hold all my little garnishes and my sorbet. Get our noodles. All right. My serving dish. Now you just have to make sure your hands are nice and dry, because you don't want to break that up and get that nitro stuck to your hand. Next thing is my sour cherry sorbet. You can see that that's really set well. Some of my cherry garnish. Some hazelnuts over the top. Some of that caviar lime fingers. I'm going to give that one last hit of nitro just to get it really cold. And that is Faloodeh Shane style.
The flavours of Iran have already been an eye-opener and are a reflection of thousands of years of culinary experimentation that have made this the oldest cuisine on earth. But now, I'm looking forward to travelling further north to meet some of the amazing people that call this country home.
Welcome.
Is Mum here? Mum, Baba? Hi, hi.
And I'll try a famous Iranian sweet that really packs a punch.
What a rock!